Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Marketing Podcast, your source for all things marketing. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Chris Tabb on the line, and he's CTO over at Ridevertise. Chris, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Adam. Thank you so much for having me on.
So I'm excited to get into today's topic. So digital out-of-home advertising and what you see as emerging potential opportunities. But before we get into that, let's start off with what you're doing over at Ridevertise. First, tell us a little bit more about the company, please.
Yeah, certainly. So what Ridevertise does is we are an in-car advertising platform for mainly Uber and Lyft rideshare vehicles. And what we're able to do is actually we're able to show ads to people in the back of Uber and Lyft cars, which is an emerging area right now.
So, I mean, tell us a little bit more about how this works. So are I'm just trying to get a feel, like what kind of advertisers have been drawn to the platform? Is this or is this kind of appropriate for? I'm just trying to get a feel more for, because I've been in quite a few Ubers and Lyfts, and I haven't seen one yet in LA.
Yeah, this is an emerging area, like I said. So you're going to see a couple of companies out there, and they mainly operate in the San Franciscos, the New Yorks of the world. But Ridevertise, we have focused uniquely in the Southeast, so Tier 2, Tier 3, Tier 4 cities. And then and like we were just talking about, Adam, I just got back from Denver this afternoon, so we're looking to expand our footprint in the West as well.
What kind of companies like advertise on Ridevertise? And a lot of business owners, a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of executives listening right now, and they're thinking, is this appropriate for me? Is it like restaurants? I'm just trying to get a feel for the product. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely. When I initially started the company, I'll tell you, I was focused heavily on brick and mortars. And that really could, encompass anybody who is consumer facing, like a restaurant or a tour operator in a tourism, destination. But we also do a lot of work with SaaS, so B2B. And so we where we started and where we've come from, come to today is very interesting. In addition, we do things like conferences. So, a company might have a conference coming up in a particular city, and they might want to advertise that heavily in the back of Uber and Lyft vehicles, to business folks who are coming into the airport or leaving, via the airport. And it's a great way to reach, that audience. Whereas typically, if you want to reach a B2B audience, it's going to cost you a little bit, because those channels, that data is typically a little bit more structured than what you see on the consumer side.
Let's talk a little bit more about distribution. So meaning, like, I'm trying to get a feel. So is it when somebody comes to you, they have obviously product, and they're looking at, are they targeting a particular city? Are they targeting how many vehicles? Is it by screen count? Like, how does somebody get a feel for the product?
Yep. So what we do is we charge a flat $250 a month, and that gives you 5,000 ad plays. And we use a CPV model, so a cost per view. And when you look at the amount of dedicated time that you get in the Ridevertise platform, so you're going to get a 10-second ad, right, that on average is going to run 5 to 6 times during the average ride. And I'll tell you, in Knoxville, where we started, or Charleston, or Miami, or Denver, Memphis, Nashville, all of these cities typically have between a 20 and a 25-minute average Uber or Lyft ride. So that gives you a lot of time to reinforce your message with someone.
I mean, so here's the big question, Chris. Is this how I grow my podcast? Do I need to be advertising on Ridevertise because people have their phones in their hand? Maybe they want to hear a podcast. I don't know.
Hey, I'll tell you, we're doing some work right now with some large national brands who come in and they buy, 4 or 5, spots in different markets. But I'll tell you, one of the new things that we just released for the platform is this ability for passengers to see a special on the tablet. They can click, send this to me now. A little window is going to come up on the screen.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
It'll actually get they can put their phone number in there, and then they send it right to their phone. But I know where your mind is already thinking is, wait, now I can send them a link to my website or my podcast, right? I could also send them, maybe a traditional coupon that I can show to my server if you're in the restaurant industry. It could be a video that we can send. We can do rich media. It could be a code, like I said, but maybe for an e-com provider, it's, something they can use on checkout. So that whole ability for us to send someone a special really, from both my perspective and I think the advertiser's perspectives, is that we're now able to extend the window of engagement from not just that 20 to 25 minutes while they're in the back of the car, but now you're in their pocket, right? And you've had plenty of brand awareness during the ride, and now you have an ability to convert them post-ride.
Man, that is amazing. What a great idea. I love it. And especially if you're giving away something free like digital content. Like when I think about that, it's like if you're targeting a certain area, a certain city, and you're like, and you want to give away a piece of digital content, it's almost like a lead magnet in there. I love it. I mean, it's a great idea. Let's switch it up a bit. I want to get into what you see as as emerging opportunities in the future of digital out-of-home advertising. Where do you want to start with that one?
Yeah, I think we're still in the infancy, of where digital out-of-home can go. If you're familiar with the space, realistically, not many are, but if typically you're coming from the big agency side, you're more in that impression or that brand awareness game, you've typically probably come up against digital out of home or at least out of home. But where do I see this all going? I think there's a tie-in directly to autonomous vehicles. In the future, when you're no longer having to pay attention and drive that vehicle, now each one of the screens in that vehicle, potentially becomes a way to engage a user. So it could be a movie, right? It could be advertising. You see some of the big OEMs in the auto manufacturer world, starting to dip their toe into this, either by showing, information on a screen or at least extrapolating data sets, and that's a whole other conversation. But I think we're very early on into where digital out of home is going to go and how you're going to see various industries, further monetize it.
Man, that's exciting, and I love it. Just thinking about those, when you said the autonomous vehicle, that's my goal. I can't wait till I can just have screens all around. I can push a button. I don't have to worry about anything. And now with that, I wasn't even thinking about the potential for like advertising or getting your message across or brand awareness, what that even looks like. That's amazing. It's almost like experiential marketing in the car.
It is, exactly. I mean, you could do brand activations. But I want to just mention another interesting component to digital out of home. You have this unique ability with digital out of home to combine location as well as, other tertiary factors. So I'll give you an example. I used to live in Atlanta. In Atlanta, in the Midtown area, around 4 or 5 p.m., Monday through Friday, that's a high value audience. That's an audience that has a lot of disposable income. That's an audience that can afford, to splurge every once in a while or make a big purchase. So from an advertiser's perspective, digital out of home in that particular circumstance, that audience is worth significantly more than it might be, let's say, at 4 o'clock in the morning, right? Mm-hmm. You're not going to get that same audience. So I think that's where you're going to see digital out of home go as well in the future, is really taking a hard look at time and space and how it relates to monetization through these screens.
Man, that's awesome. I love it. Well, hey, Chris. So, last question, I should say. So, how do are the drivers getting paid, or like how does that work? Like, how are you spreading through to the Lyft and Uber network?
Oh, that's such a good question, Adam. So, we pay the drivers a base fee per month. However, it doesn't end there. And in fact, when we go hire a driver, we're actually not looking for that type of person who's just going to keep the tablet plugged in, right? Mm-hmm. What we're looking for is the type of person who, A, drives a lot, so 50 to 60 hours a week. We're also looking for a driver who treats rideshare as a business, meaning they go out at certain times because they've had past success, right? They're not going to go sit at the airport for 2.5 hours waiting for a flight to come in. You know, they're motivated. The other thing we look for in the interview process is, does this person have a customer service background? And it may seem odd, but it actually ties right into our platform, and then vis-a-vis also their incentive of how we're able to essentially drive conversion for businesses. So when you and I were just talking about the call to action that's available in the tablet, well, our drivers have an app as well, and they know what's going on in their tablet. So they might look and they might say, for instance, you know, Nama Sushi Bar has a 50% off discount on Wednesday. Well, they might have somebody in the back of the car who's talking about how they're hungry. The driver might suggest, oh, have you checked out, you know, sushi bars around here? That might lead organically to, hey, did you know that Nama Sushi has a 50% discount? Actually, it's going to be on the tablet in a moment. Make sure you enter your phone number and get it. And from there, we can also track reservations that come from the tablet or that via that link. Wow. And what we actually do is we negotiate a rate with the restaurant. We might say, hey, is it $5 a reservation? Or what happens, Adam, if I could get you a reservation at 3 p.m. in the afternoon when your restaurant is dead? Would you pay me $10 if I could get you a reservation then? Because at least you're turning tables. So there's all different ways that we look at it. But at the end of the day, I'm still kicking 50% of that money back to the driver. And this, again, is somebody who's not maybe making a ton of money every month, but we're able to add 30 or 40% to their base income that they're getting just through these other companies.
Man, that's amazing. I love rewarding these drivers out there because they keep me moving around Santa Monica and LA. I love it. And I love when people are finding ways to add value to them and to the work they're already doing, which I definitely appreciate. Anybody driving an Uber or Lyft right now that is listening to this, I appreciate you every day because I take them often. So, Chris, if somebody's listening to this, and they want more information about Ridevertise, either as a business owner that's considering advertising, or a driver that wants to apply, what's the best route for them to reach out?
Yeah, so first and foremost, I would tell you to visit the website. So it's just going to be ride-vertise.com. You can also reach out to me directly on LinkedIn. I have an open profile, so I accept incoming connections. If you have any questions at all, just reach out to me directly, and I can get you pointed in the right direction if it's not me. We also have a pretty stellar sales force that we've just brought on across the country. We're now in 7 cities. So when you go to the website, make sure you take a look, see if we're in your city. We also have some planned announcements coming up. We're going to be launching in 5 additional cities over the next 2 months here. So we're hoping to take the world by storm, Adam.
Oh man, I love this. This is awesome, and I know I'm gonna continue to see this growth, and I'm gonna start running your advertisement. I love it. Well, hey Chris, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about all the great stuff you're doing at Ridevertise to both help your advertisers and the drivers out there and the people. I mean, you just have a win-win-win situation. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast. Leave me a review. If you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Marketing, then definitely subscribe to that channel. But leave us some comments on the video section. Let us know what you thought, and let us know what you're up to. Love to hear it and engage with you there. And Chris, thanks again for coming on the show.